got another channel called Worldwide Big Think, and it's more of a conversation. This channel, I want to be more of advice. They're going to meld, of course. They're the same basic concept, I think, which is conversation, getting to know, which I think are the central components of love as human beings and as creatures, as living things in a relationship-based reality. So, yeah, I guess that's my first bit of advice, is seek to get to know. Seek to seek. Seek. And I'm yeah. Just, Enjoy Life Philosophy King is the title of this channel, because I have suffered through a lot of physical and mental illness. I've helped and failed helping quite a few people. I've dealt with losing my mind and trying to find it for 10 years. And, when I first kind of started finding it, I thought, why'd I have to go through that? The answers were different. And it's like, why couldn't I meet somebody who could help me find these answers easier? And I kind of felt like I almost don't want to say this, but I kind of felt like it wasn't worth it. Like I was mad at life. But as I started to kind of like embody this sort of like freedom that I've been discovering, the word worth it pops in my head more and more. My efforts weren't in vain, right? Even though I clung to answers that I thought were the answers, methods that I thought were the methods, because things were happening and I was like, this has got to be it. But there was just so much pain, and it's like very rarely could another person really tell how much pain I was in, much less could they do anything about it. I'm grateful for all the people along the way in my life who've been there for me. And yeah, so I suppose that's the other bit of advice, is your efforts are never in vain. And there's always purity somewhere in all of your intentions, no matter how evil even you think there are. So that one's a hard pill to swallow sometimes, because you're like, oh, like you hate a certain thing. And anyway, yeah, it's actually really nice once you actually swallow that pill. I guess I've got tons of advice I could give, but I think I'm going to end this video after this next bit of advice, which I have no idea what I'm about to say, but I feel like I'm about to say something, if that makes any kind of sense. Which, I don't like the wording I just used. I feel like I'm about to say something. But I guess that's it right there. You notice I have these long pauses. Don't be ashamed of your mental capacity and your thinking, because the brain is magnificent. No matter how crossed your wires may be, whether you recognize your wires are crossed or not, which everybody's wires are are crossed. In many ways, this world has something wrong with it. A lot of people have a lot of different ideas about what that cause is, and well, I could go, we could delve deep into that, and the reality is just we know that everything isn't hunky-dory. Like, people aren't making the best decisions, and I think it has to do with stress. I think we get impatient and we don't wrestle with the thing into its entirety of like the wrestling match. We find ways out because suffering isn't fun. But when you start to discover that other side, you've sufficiently wrestled with the thing to the point where you've actually found like really cool ideas about your life, like the possibilities of your life, the things that just like who you are and what you're capable of. I mean, humanity is really beautiful, guys. And there's so much for us to explore just on this earth, right? And we've already explored so much of it. We're a freaking genius generation. And we have the capabilities of like advancing humanity like crazy, crazy high levels that it's just like, and we don't have to do anything but be ourselves. It's like, it's a natural occurrence. As you learn to be yourself more, you start to understand like life is beautiful. Like it's so messed up, and I want to help people out of that messed up stuff by showing them how beautiful they are. And simply the only thing that I need to do in order to do that is to just get to know a person. I was about to end the video right there, but yeah. I think that's the greatest joy of my life, is getting to know another living being. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to sound like some kind of guru or something, but get to know yourself. You're with yourself the most of any other person. Wherever you go, there you are. And you are who you are. Like, you can't escape who you are, where you are. Like, you can't escape yourself. So, I don't know. Learn to go crazy? I don't know. Because that's what we do. Like, we go crazy. We lose our minds. So just like, there's a song called The Dive. I could listen to it and think about like all the stuff that's involved in it, and just I relate to so much of it myself. And it's like I learned that the guy who wrote it at a really young age, which is like, whoa, and idea and abilities. The Dive, parts 1 and 2. If anybody who's ever dealt with mental problems or had any kind of mental break ever, that is a song that you could totally listen to and go like, yeah. And he talks about kind of like coming out the other end because you dive. It's kind of like Dante's Inferno. Like, in order to get out of hell, you got to go through the mouth of the devil. It's, it's worth it. Worth it. Yeah. And it's not a one-time thing coming out that other end. It's kind of something you just get used to. getting chewed up and spit out by the devil, like, or, whatever, whatever negativity, whatever you want to call that. BS you're having to go through, BS you're putting yourself through, BS in your own head, feelings you don't like, and then of course you can amplify that to the extreme for some people. We got all kinds of horrible shit, pardon me, horrible stuff happening in the world. Yeah. So if you take that dive, consider yourself, I suppose. That was a big step for me, was I can talk back. I have an opinion. My opinion matters. I actually have an opinion. And a lot of the journey was, I don't need to sacrifice my peace in order to bring others peace. I need to seek peace in order to find peace. Whatever that looks like, there's a lot of different stuff that brings me peace. And I have moods. Go figure, I have moods and varying emotions and ways of thinking throughout my day. And some things are extremely uncomfortable, and I'm learning to accept those things, and I don't have a lot of control over them because I'm a very broken human being. And I'm learning that a lot of it is temporary. I used to try to like hold on to stuff and like defeat it. And I don't know, I thought it was the key, because I was having these like beautiful moments of like, I don't know, like they were like all, I guess you could call them like mystical, like religious experiences. And I was subduing myself like a lot so that I could help other people. And I thought, if I have any sort of negative thought or feeling, I am hurting the people around me, and I'm not allowed to do that. And I'm recognizing like I don't understand all of my negativity, but some of it is valid, like super valid. And I'm like, I agree with that. Some of the stuff that pops in my head, I'm like, I don't want that. And sometimes when it pops in my head and I have a feeling, sometimes I'm learning, the feeling is kind of like, I had this analogy. It's like a surfer analogy. It's kind of like, waves, they come and they go, and we get like obsessed with a wave, and we like try to attach to it. And we're literally all in our heads, like obsessing over this wave we missed for like days and days and days, sitting in the ocean and like not eating food. I don't know, that it's a weird analogy, like, but that's kind of like the madness of like this like disappointment of our own behavior, I guess. So we really don't treat ourselves well. And yeah, I think treat yourself like a king, a queen, and a genius, because you are. And the world just doesn't appreciate you the way it should. In the world at large doesn't know how. And people have been trying to learn, like, what do I do? Like, I know there's something. There's this thing I'm looking for. And people have been seeking and finding answers and trying to share that with people. And the reality is it's not necessarily, like, there is no, like, one answer to define them all. It's people talk about it's not the end game, it's the journey. Consider everything. And I suppose that's where I should end this video. Consider everything, all the time. And don't abandon any part of your heart, because the things that you consider are the things you care about. Don't abandon that. Hold on to those. Balance them. And kind of like imagine you've got like your own cosmos, your own orbit. Like they're all there. You're just cutting off your awareness to some because you think it will bring a better reality in this other part. And that's not true. Like, you're a universal being. You are one whole. You're a whole. And I don't know, maybe I can definitely say for myself, I've been so used to suppressing myself. I was very segmented as a person, very judgmental. And in letting go of that, it was literally a trip. Like very strong emotions and feelings associated with some pretty out there thoughts, that scared me for a while, but it made me so, and I hate to use this word, but brave and courageous, in the sense of not necessarily that I'm like, oh, like I'm like facing my fears. It was like, I want to love myself. I want to stop hating myself. I want to love life. I want to stop hating life. I want to look at the world with some kind of joy and not this like despair that the world's gonna end and life is gonna end and I can't save everybody. And yeah. I don't know. I have so much to talk about. There's so many different things that I've experienced, and like, how do you overcome negativity or evil? And it's not by attacking the negativity and the evil, it's loving the good. Love and enjoy the good. And we're discovering what that is and how to do it well. It's a lifelong process of refinement, like patching a video game and making it a little better. We do that over time as we explore and discover little bugs and glitches, as well as little spots of improvement. You got DLC, all kinds of stuff, sequels, expansions. I mean, the list goes on. Then you've got, whole genres of games, all kinds of creative new stuff coming out. I mean, yeah. Life is really cool. And I don't know, I don't plan on dying. It's a really healthy perspective in my mind. People talk about, remembering death is a healthy thing to do. And I suppose in a certain context it is, of like kind of putting yourself, in that situation of, if I die right now, will I be happy with who I was and the life I lived, and was I able to be myself, and did I discover the things that I had hoped to in my heart? Or is there some part of me that's just always been sealed off for some reason that I've never fully comprehended? And it's like, I want to, I feel like it's kind of cheesy to say it, but I want to discover the mysteries of myself. I want to discover the mysteries of, I don't know, allowing others, and just, when I don't know, it's a interesting journey, because we have these ideas of like rubrics of how to get this done, and it's like you kind of have to resist the rubric, because then you start programming yourself like a robot, instead of a seeker, and and you limit yourself to these ideas about reality, when reality, it's there. Like, you don't need to constantly be re-rubricing yourself in order to put yourself in line with it. You need to resist the rubrics while at the same time keeping, because it's not keeping, it's just being. How do you just be? This is a long video. I'm waiting for my friend to get out of an acting class, which is pretty cool. I'm reading a book for the second time. I'm listening to it, called Unlearn. If you've made it this far, congratulations, you've just heard about one of the coolest books ever written in the history of humanity, by a guy called Humble the Poet, who's a Sikh rapper, I think. I'm just learning about this guy. Just like randomly came across this book on Audible, and it's beautiful, And again, there's parts where you're gonna be like, oh, that's cheesy, but it's actually like it's profound. Little simple things about learning to appreciate your life. Like, if you don't appreciate your life, like, what's the point of your life to you? Like, you're just gonna like regret life. Like, you're just gonna like, you know, that, I don't know, have all these things that you wish would have happened or wish you would have done. And it's important to be grateful for life. If we don't have that natural joy, like, I'm not the only one, and I know I'm not. I've had friends who've told me this, but it's like, we feel like we've lost our inner child, you know, like that natural joy. It's just gone. There's like a pit inside of you, or not even. It's like deeper than a pit. It's like more than a void. It's like, it's horror. It's like, I don't know if hell is the right word, but it's kind of like that, you know? And I think a lot of people go through this, and we want it back. How do we get it back? How do I be a child again? And that's another thing. You're a baby. You're a baby. That's a fun thing to meditate on. I'm a baby. And then you can get away with anything, and it's just cute. And then, you know, then you start pulling on your mom's earrings, and she's like, no, yeah, probably not. It's more like, surprise attack. Yeah, maybe treat yourself like a baby, but be realistic about it. Not like, oh, I can get away with stuff, I'm sneaky, but, you know, you're genuinely curious about life. Like, you're literally like, it's just like, you can't even put words to it. You know what I mean? Like, you want to be speechless because it's so much, you can't even put words to it. And you can't fabricate anything that I'm telling you. You cannot fabricate it. Like, this is all just real life. And like, how do I do that? Exactly. Like, begin this journey. I suppose that's the whole purpose of this channel. Begin this journey of self-discovery, of self-purpose, of self-volition, of, you know, what am I interested in? Because those are the things. I've been watching a lot of motivational Elon Musk videos today. He kind of has grasped quite a bit of what I'm talking about, but he's lived a long time trying to pursue these things he's interested in, and I mean, he really nails it on the head. You know, talking about, you're gonna think about the things you're interested in, no matter where you are. So just get involved in those things because that's what you want to think about. So do it. And hey, there you discover the genius of existence and the getting to know. Yeah, it's actually that simple. Yeah, my other channel, Worldwide Big Think, I'd like to talk about everything. I think, you know, with the internet, there's this sense of, people often talk about it like, we're so connected but disconnected. Let's get that connection going. Like, let's actually talk with each other, hear our ideas, and like, you know, work with them, with each other. Not because we want to accomplish anything, but because it's cool. It's actually really cool to think about stuff. Like, it's really fun. It's I think potentially it's a central aspect of the coolest part of life. The other aspect is like actually building cool stuff, you know? Yeah. And then this one's the weird part, the like mystical component to all of this is it starts to come together and you actually meet like-minded people. Sometimes there's even like serendipity and coincidence that's like really cool. And I just thought of dreams and kind of like also how ideas can come at me sometimes, and how I disagree with like the majority of it. And yeah, I think some of the best advice I can give you for mental health is look at everything like a movie and critique it. And over time, you'll start to recognize like maybe at first, when I was actually saying that, I imagined somebody being really manic and trying to critique everything to find some peace. Like, they have to put in a word. You know what? I actually think if you really try to find your honest opinion on a thing, that's very powerful. And when you put forth the effort, you will find it. So have that manic episode, find your critique, find your opinion, find the words that you're trying to say, because you don't know them. And when you find them, you're like, oh, right? And you're just going to be like, like, I'm here. Like, I know there's somebody who agrees with me. You know what I mean? And you're right. You're right. And there's liberation in that. So go review the movie of your life and of other people's lives and of the world and history and the possibilities of the future, and just be a movie reviewer, be a life reviewer, and don't hold back. Wherever you're